Please rise for the pledge. Which allegiance
To the flag of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to, before I make a motion to adopt the agenda, I'm asking to add Mr. Ed Patton to the agenda. Before I make a motion to adopt, he wants to talk about his observations regarding the animal control shelter, correct, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. And his name is Mr. Ed Patton.
Mr. Patton, can you spell your last name, just so we have it?
Patton.
Perfect, thank you.
General.
Yes, sir.
And as far as where we put him on the agenda, I suppose we could front load him if that's okay. I don't see Janelle here. Might
If
give
we
her a
don't
minute.
mention now, we'll have him go first.
Yeah, so we give her a minute yet to do that. So if you don't mind. Perfect. Okay, then I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented with the one addition of Mr. Patton regarding animal control shelter.
And I support.
Right, the motion's been made and seconded to adopt the agenda with one addition. Any other conversation or discussion rather? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. And Ms. Mott not yet being here, Mr. Patton, if you'd like to go, and then if she does show up, she can go after.
Perfect.
Because of his challenges, if you want to just take a seat there, sir, and speak from the seat, I think that's okay.
Absolutely.
I think I said it before during the big committee meeting. I'm a disabled veteran. And I suffer from PTSD, depression, anxiety, and a whole other shopping list full of stuff. And one of the things that I do to help with my PTSD and anxiety is I like to spend time with sheltered animals, whether, doesn't matter if they're deemed aggressive, dangerous, doesn't matter. I've been known to go inside a so-called aggressive animal's cage and they take to me like, white on rice. I haven't been told when I first started going to the shelter, I had spoken with the animal control officer, Deputy Reed, as well as the undersheriff, and explained my situation. And I was told that I would have no limits to the dogs or cats.
Yeah.
And when I arrived there, because Deputy Reed did tell me that some of the animals there are evidence. And I spent a lot of time with two of the dogs that were deemed not suitable for people, which was, Bear and Duke. Bear is a huge Rottweiler who was recently adopted. Duke is a large German Shepherd going blind in one eye, or is blind in one eye, going blind in the other. And I was told that, I usually go there in the mornings. And there's been some issues that I've noticed since I've been going there, that I've thrown my 2 cents to the workers, as well as Deputy Reed herself. None of those issues have been fixed. And I'm always wondering why. That's why I was kind of hoping.
What are some of the issues, sir?
One of the issues is they have a dog there that has a broken or fractured hip.
Okay.
Granted, they take this dog out using a lift method, which is a towel or a blanket. But yet, when she comes back in, she's laying on a concrete floor, with the only thing separating her and the concrete is 2 baby blankets. I've informed them, why is there no bed? And they tell me, well, it's because she defecates and urinates on the bed. Like, well, okay, here's your solution. Give them the solution. And all 3 times that I've been there after I gave them the solution, The dog still has no bed in it.
What's the solution?
The solution is you take a bed, you put it in a trash bag, spray it down with some spray that stops them from chewing and whatnot. Place blankets over it. That way, if she does urinate, defecate, whatever, it's not gonna harm the bed. The spray is so she won't tear up the trash bag. That was one. Two, I've never seen those dogs since I've been going there, not once, get exercise. What I mean by exercise is they've got a fenced area that they can take the dogs out, let them run around with supervision, and nobody does. All they do is when they take the dogs out to the bathroom, is they put them inside this little target cage, hooked up, to where the dog can only go certain areas. And the cage is maybe half the width of that. Those dogs get no exercise. I don't know if it's because of the weather. You know, some of the dogs are kept out there for a great period of time. Even when it's cold, they have hardly any fur.
Are you just talking about these two dogs specifically? Or are you talking about,
All dogs,
how do you know they're not being exercised?
because I'm there and I see it.
All the time?
I've been there 3 days out of the week,
For all the hours of their operational hours?
just for the mornings.
Okay.
No, I went there for an evening once, and that's when I was told they had a dog there that was evidence. I don't know what they mean by evidence, but
Hey, Mr. Patton.
I was trying to,
Yeah.
deal with the dog.
Okay.
Get treats and this, that. And a girl calls the animal control officer and I was told I had to get out of the office. I was not allowed to mess with that dog. I'm like, who told you that? And she said, Deputy Reed. I'm like, well, Deputy Reed knows I have no limitations here. So I haven't been back there in the evening since. I've been told now, well, you can only give the dogs a couple treats while you're here. That's it. No,
And Mr. Patton, have you talked to the sheriff
I haven't talked to the sheriff, no.
or the undersheriff?
I haven't talked to him either. Well, yes, I did talk to the undersheriff. And he asked me about the complaints because he thought it was, for staff. And I'm like, no, the staff is great. They tend to, with the exception of one person that I've seen, they all interact with the dogs, cats. They're great. My concern is the environment those dogs are in, which is utterly terrible. I mean, I've been associated with a large rescue shelter in Illinois.
You understand that our shelter is inspected by the state of Michigan. And and I couldn't tell you the frequency, but it's at least annually and probably more so than that. And although, I mean, there are some limitations to that building, I'll grant you that, but we're not, the animal shelter is not in any kind of significant violation of any state regulations.
Well, I'm not talking about any type of violations. I mean, I'm talking the overall condition, the lack of supply space. I mean, they've got dog treats and dog food and cat treats in the bathroom. They've got dogs to where when you open the door, there's a huge cage right there, one on top of the other, and they keep dogs there. If they, and there's other cages in there that the dog can go.
Right, Mr. Patton. Well, I think I
You
took
open the door, and the animal gets a burst of freezing cold air.
I took detailed notes. We do have a subcommittee that deals specifically with animal control, and I'll share these notes with that board once.
We're on it.
Are you both on it? I didn't know. what
Yeah,
was
we're
changing.
both on.
We're both on it.
So, okay.
I had a couple recommendations that, I've been told that, this lack of funds and this, that, and the other.
Mr. Patton, sorry, you have 2 minutes left, so I just.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the ideas that I had is why not merge the Humane Society with the animal shelter?
I can tell you that based upon our last animal control meeting, we have some courses of action being developed to improve the management of the animal control shelter. There's an organization that is interested and they're drafting a proposal for management of the facility. So we are looking at options, quite frankly, in the very near future to be able to improve the animal. I don't want to go into specific detail because there are still a couple of things that we've got to work through. But we are, that's why the ad hoc committee has been established and that's why we are, that's why we exist right now.
Where would one go to apply for that managerial position? Because I've been told by many people that I should apply.
There is not the county is not hiring a management position, a manager per se. We're looking at an agency that's willing to take on the managerial responsibilities. It's a nonprofit.
So all the rumors of manager or general manager being hired at the animal shelter is no longer true?
They're still a rumor. I guess I'll leave it at that. We have not taken any action, but
We are looking into different things for the animal control, animals.
I mean,
Can't really talk about it,
huh?
not really talking about it much because we're just in the process.
I think that discussion needs to be brought up again
oh, absolutely.
between the members. Because those dogs deserve a lot better than what they're getting right now.
Sure, the issue is not done. That's for sure. It's fact, it just opened up last Thursday, quite frankly, when this group stepped forward. And so they're working on a 501c3 for tax purposes. They're working on getting their organizational rules established so that the ad hoc committee can look at it and then bring it back to this committee. So yeah, it's just that it's so early at this point in time to just really disclose any details. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was told that I wasn't able to go to the shelter at all last week, even though I walked from Cabin Creek Coffee all the way to the dog shelter just to be told.
Well, it was closed last week. It's not open right now. They moved all the animals out and they're redoing the floor.
Yeah, I was told I could
So,
still visit. I just have to go to the other building, but that day they weren't doing nothing. So unless they moved all the animals last week, I'd like to know what day they moved them.
I have no idea.
Mr. Patton, yeah, before you,
Deputy Reed will contact you.
yeah, Mr. Patton, I'm sorry, we really have to move on. Before you leave, if we can get your email address or phone number so I can pass it on to
Yeah,
members.
my email address is egpatton.
Okay.
316
Okay.
@gmail.com.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. All right. And I'll pass these notes along and then obviously these two will take it to their committee as well. So, all right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And Ed, Mr. Patton, as soon as I couldn't find the date of our next ad hoc meeting, it's in my other notebook or notes.
February 1st.
Thank you, Mary Catherine. So 1 February at noon right here is when the next animal control ad hoc meeting is.
Okay, and both the sheriff and
The animal control officer are both usually here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
thank you very much. I appreciate y'all's time. Sorry if I went a little.
Oh, that's all right. That's all.
I don't know if she's coming today.
We'll just.
Keep on going, yeah.
Do we have any kind of a report from the juvenile officer?
We do not.
Yes, well, okay. Answers that.
Thank you.
Afternoon. So I just have a couple short items to give you an update on for this month. So we have a little bit of good news. So some of you may remember last winter, you received some alerts on your cell phone from 911 regarding the blizzard warnings that we had last winter. So that is an alerting software that we pay for. We spend about $10,000 a year with that software, and it has a few other tools along with it that we use. The state has some time ago entered into a contract with one of the alerting vendors, not the one that we were using, But we have the ability to be able to receive part of that package for free because of the state contract. So we have initiated contract with that company and we have the wheels in motion. We have a kickoff meeting for Wednesday. And we'll be taking our business to them and we'll be saving about $4,000 a year.
Well, that's
So
good.
we're kind of excited about that.
Yeah.
We could go completely free with them, but we're replacing the entire suite of services that we had with the other company. Rory, our lead dispatcher, looked it over and from the demo that he saw, he liked the tools better that this company has. So we are going to enroll in their other services with them and we'll be saving between $4,000 and $5,000 a year for 911. So we're really pleased with that. So that should be moving forward quite quickly. Our other service is up at the end of the month. So we plan to be able to just let them know we won't be sending a payment with that invoice and we'll be moving our services on. We've been disappointed in the last year or so with the service that we received from that vendor. So we're pleased with the money saving opportunity that we have there. Regarding equipment, we are in the early stage process of looking for new call taking software for the actual 911 calls that come in. And we are also getting to the point where technology is becoming, I don't want to say outdated, but there's just been so many upgrades. Our computer aided dispatch system is 7 years old. So we have started researching grant opportunities. We don't want to add any further leases to our budget. So we are in early stages of looking for grant opportunities to replace those 2 technology upgrades in dispatch. The project will be slightly north, probably of $500,000, depending on how long it takes us to achieve it. Of course, the price will continue to go up. So we are researching grant opportunities for those new technology upgrades. Last year.
Before you move off of that
Sure.
topic. So, and I somewhat know the answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. So is there any discussion from some of the other, some of our neighboring counties that also run separate 911 centers that are much smaller and have even greater financial burdens? Any more discussion? Are they squawking about another $500,000 to have to upgrade their systems and maybe considering some kind of regionalization to save everybody money?
So we haven't had great conversations with that yet. We are in conversation with the other partners that we entered into the contract for our current 911 call taking software. That would be Roscommon, Ogama. All I can think of is Oscoda County. I have trouble separating Oscoda and Oscoda County. And Iosco, I believe is the other one. We are in current conversations with them on how we all want to move forward. Our contract is coming to an end with that vendor.
Okay.
There's not a single partner that's been happy there, so we are looking elsewhere. Everybody seems to have their own path, though, that they want to move forward on that, so I'm not sure that a group purchase in that avenue is going to be possible. One thing that we have looked into for our center is we currently have Central Square for our computer dispatch software, and they have come and shown us some upgrades that are very interesting to us, to our current service. And they also have call taking software. So we are looking into that. But before we do anything, we want to get a handle on what kind of grant dollars are out there. We're hoping to be able to set aside the seed money that we would need for a grant, but we really don't want another payment in our budget every year. We have 8 more years on the tower, so I'm not really wanting to extend that out any further. And there's grants out there. It's just a matter of digging deep enough and putting in the work behind the scenes to make it happen. So those are definitely works in progress, though. We definitely want to bring the newest technology that we can afford, but we want to find the funding to help us do it without having to make that annual lease payment.
Sure, understand. Okay, thanks, Kim.
Certainly. Every year since I've been in the position, Director Hall had started this project before COVID. We do an annual project with the county, with all of the fire departments, the township fire departments and city fire. We completed that project for 2023 last fall. The radios have finally arrived and everyone but Green has picked theirs up. We have a fire chief meeting Thursday night, so if we don't see them before Thursday night, we'll deliver those. We have not received the invoice yet from the vendor, so tomorrow there will be a carryover request at finance for us to carry over the funds from 23 to 24 because we don't want to spend this year's budgeted allowance for that project to cover last year's. But with the township and city contributions, we purchased just shy of $60,000 in radios and pagers this year for the fire departments. So that's always exciting to get new equipment in the hands of the firefighters. So I thought you might like a little bit of good news to start the year. For 2023, our 911 budget ended the year at 86.6% of our expenditures. And for emergency management, it was 89.2% of our budget we expended. Call volume for December, we received 607 911 calls. We received 23 incoming texts, and we had 1,990 entries made into the computer dispatch system.
For the month of December.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's,
Busy month.
it was a busy month. November, we, Al ran November's numbers. They were, we had 2,182 entries into the computer dispatch system in November. The difference is a 911 call is not necessarily just one entry into the system. Traffic stops don't have anything to do with the 911 calls, but the dispatchers still have work to do on those traffic stops. So the CAD entries actually are a little bit more explanatory of the workload that they do. So that's all I have. Unless you have any questions.
I do.
Okay.
Am I gonna get a text tomorrow about the weather?
That will depend on what the alerts are from the National Weather Service, but I'm told it went out on Facebook this morning, so.
Your emergency 911 announcement was on was on Facebook this morning. Yep. I didn't see that.
So when my phone goes off, I'll kind of know.
Yeah. We're hoping it doesn't, we had an update with the National Weather Service this afternoon. And it doesn't look that our county is going to get it very bad. It looks like it's going to be worse in the UP, but there's still quite a large percentage of uncertainty exactly where the rain and the freezing is going to happen. But we'll see what Mother Nature passes us overnight, right? But if it's nasty out, stay home, be safe. We don't want to have a call through our office for you.
We have a meeting tomorrow morning at 9:30, so.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I thank you for your time.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'll entertain motion to accept and file.
Receiving, so moved for receiving and filing the report.
Support.
Right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Hey,
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to the next item, Mary Catherine.
Yeah, so this is an outshoot of the continued discussions in regards to the representation on indigent defense in the probate and family courts. The board approved a budget renewing the contracts essentially at their current levels. All of the attorneys have executed those agreements except for the firm of Bauer, Florup, and Woja. I had a discussion with Matt, who's here today, in regards to that representation, and his feeling was that the amount of work that they are doing really deserved a higher compensation rate than what is in the current contract. One of the discussions that we have had over the past year or so with the attorneys who are part of those contracts is some way of showing to the commissioners and to the administrative office the hours that are involved. One of the requirements of the last contract was that those attorneys be providing hours to us, not because we want to, make a judgment call about the hours required in the case, but just to give us some start of a measurement of how many hours folks are spending on these cases. So I will turn it over to Matt if you want to go ahead.
So as Mary Catherine said, back in October, our firm began on an emergency basis covering the probate court's assigned matters. And we agreed to do that through the end of the year. And then we would agree to look at it again and see where we were at. Is it a good fit for our firm? Is it a good circumstance overall? Before I go into what we're requesting, I want to tell you a little bit about what we do. So the probate court, we're responsible for all appointed matters in the probate court. And the probate court is required from a constitutional standpoint to appoint people, to appoint counsel to represent people in certain circumstances. So the primary area that we run into is mental health issues. If someone is petitioned for mental health treatment, they have a right to have counsel to know what their rights are, and if necessary, to challenge the decision to mandate them into mental health treatment. Sometimes we're appointed in guardianship matters, developmental disability cases, end of life decisions, things along those lines. And a number of these matters, particularly the mental health matters, come up on an unpredictable basis, and they tend to be emergent in nature. That there are quick timelines that the court has to respond to, and we have to respond quickly in accordance with that. As Mary Catherine noted, there's been an interest in tracking time, and we have tracked our time. However, when we got involved in this, we knew November and December were going to be lighter months than October was, because we have holidays in there, we have vacation time. Just by the nature of those months at the end of the year, those tend to be lighter months. And we were so advised by the probate court that we could expect that. What we found, if we build our time out at $120 an hour, which is substantially less than what I bill regularly, and substantially less than what my associate Alex Breckenridge bills at, but which is consistent with the lowest billable rate for MIDC, Michigan Indigent Defense Commission billables. That's their rate these days. So that's the rate we used. In October, we would have been about $4,600, $4,500. In November, it was around $2,000, and in December, it was a little bit under $2,000 in terms of what we would have billed. We think that our average month is going to look a lot more like October than it will like November and December, just because there aren't so many holidays and vacations in the first 10 months of the year as there are in the last two. What we propose to Mary Catherine and what we propose to you is something of a middle ground. We propose a contract of a shorter duration, 1 year, because we already have a small sample size, and we recognize that our 3 months is an extremely small sample size. And so we would suggest that we shorten this contract to a year so that we can look at it again in a year and say, what's fair, that we have a larger sample size to examine. And based upon what we think is fair, we thought to increase the monthly to $4,000 from $3,100. Because we think that $4,600 is going to be, being our first month, there were probably some inefficiencies there. But practically speaking, I think that's going to be close to where we need to be. One of the other issues, and I raised this with Mary Catherine when I went through this and we spoke on the phone, there's a section E in the compensation provisions that say that extraordinary litigation expenses due to the complexity or duration of the matter can be authorized. The nature of our appointment, for the nature of our appointment, that generally is not what we're going to see. What concerns me, we haven't seen a lot of matters that last an extraordinarily long time or are extraordinarily complex. What we see some months is a rash of mental health cases where it's a volume issue in a number of cases rather than one case that happens to be a difficult case. So and again, we don't have a sample size to have a good sense of how many mental health petitions there are in an average month. But let's say it's 10. And if 1 month we get 30, the contract doesn't give us any provision to say, wait a second, this month we were absolutely swamped and we should get more. So I think we could say work volume or volume of assignments or something along those lines, provide an additional framework. We find this work very rewarding. We know that it's important. We also know that the county's budget is not infinite here. We're not asking to be paid at our normal hourly rate. We're not asking for what we consider to be an exorbitant sum. We just want it to be fair all the way around. And we want to be able to continue helping the probate court and helping the people that are most vulnerable in our community. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, any concerns.
I have just two, and actually, Matt, before I ask you, Mary Catherine, just two questions. How long do the contracts usually go on average for the other pool of attorneys that we use for?
In the past, they were 1-year contracts. Last year, or the last contract renewal was done at 18 months. It was to finish up 2022 and all of 2023. The contracts that have just been executed are 3-year contracts. They are 2024 through 2026. So, to have this be a 1-year contract, would be fine. It just would be then on a slightly different cycle from the other contracts. I guess part of my hesitation about it would be that the top compensation for the attorneys who handle all of the motion calls through juvenile court is $3,800 per month.
That's what the others are getting.
And and this is part of the struggle, right? Not knowing the hours that the different attorneys are putting in. It's hard to compare apples to apples and feel like we are being fair to all of the attorneys who are handling cases for the county under this indigent contract. So
I have to believe that if it's too disparate, we'll know about it.
you will hear about it.
I'm sure we will.
So that, and that would just be the only thing I would throw out there.
And look, if the middle ground is to come to 3,800, that's fine. I'm not asking to make us the most highly compensated in the contract basis.
Right, well, I mean, and I think for me at least, consistency, and especially in government, is important. So if we were to raise it to the 3,800, I think that would be worth considering. But then my other concern would be taking it down to that 1 year. I understand the reason for wanting us to consider that, but that would be my other concern, because now we have a whole pool under a 3-year contract. And we'd have this, this outlier, basically.
I do understand that concern. It's my understanding, and now, again, I'm speaking without full knowledge here, but at least a number of the assigned attorneys have been doing this for some time. And so they have a little bit more knowledge of the scope of the job than we do at this point.
How many clients do you have roughly how many
Clients do I have?
how many of you work, not total, but with these particular types of cases, roughly how many people are you working with?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. I've got the hours I could give you.
Oh, that's okay.
A number of cases, but I can tell you that we plan on having a Friday pretty well blocked off. Might that be 4, 5, 6 matters per Friday? That's probably close. And for each of those Friday matters, you have to try to speak with them on the phone and meet with them in person beforehand. And then sometimes on Mondays, there are hearings first thing in the morning. So there could be 1, 2, 3 matters in the mornings as well.
Who previously carried out this work?
That was Ms. Olowski.
Okay.
And I'm not, the primary one that handles these on a day-to-day basis is Alex Breckenridge in our office, but we have other attorneys that are available, including myself.
I don't have any concern over a one-year contract. In fact, it gives you an opportunity to determine whether or not you want to, you don't want to be locked in, if you will, to a 3-year contract. If it's after a year, you say, yeah, my firm, it's not, the cost benefit's not there. So I would understand why with 1 year. So I have no objections to that.
My only note on that would be, I wouldn't mind seeing maybe 1 year, just so you can test waters, but then after that, I
Sure.
it's a 2-year, and then it resumes the 3-year period.
Fine with that idea.
I exactly where I was going with it. Yeah, because because you're just taking it on, give you a year to figure out if this is going to be worth your firm's effort. And so I understand that. But then after that, okay, if you're all in, at least for the normal term of the contract, that would be the expectation that I would have.
I totally agree with that. That makes sense to me as well.
I'm sorry, and I should have probably written this down before I came and I didn't. So 3,800 is a high. So is the lowest 3,100 still, or?
No, the agreement with Attorney Manning is for substantially less, but she handles a very, very small subset of juvenile cases. So that's why that compensation is different. The other two attorneys who handle all of the motion call matters and regular appointments through juvenile court are both at 3,800.
Then I think at a minimum, we should be at 3,800. And quite frankly, since I am still running my mouth, the extra $200 a month for a year, it is taxpayer money, and I get that. But I mean, dealing with the I understand that those are the issues, but that could be particularly difficult. I would think so.
Well, and what I would say also is that if the others are making 3,800, that's all within one court, so you could add them up as between them. We have the entire court that we have to cover.
Sure.
So there is a distinction there. But again, if it's a matter of not making waves and you say you want to go down to 3,800, I'm not going to walk away over that either.
I mean, I'd be okay with 1 year at 3,800 and then with some sort of notation, just so it's on the record that we then move to 2 years after that year. That way it can't come back.
To line them up with all the other 3-year contracts. So
Because I'd hate to have these
yeah,
contracts all over.
I just wouldn't want to go 1 year at a time. And
I
if
agree.
it's one, and then if their firm continues, then we would go an additional 2 to line it up to end of 2026. So.
All right.
We could certainly put in language that it is a contract through the end of 2024, but if it renews, then it renews automatically 25 through the end of 2026.
The other ones.
Yeah. That would be fine. Any other questions that I need to add? Okay, thank you.
So we don't have to make any motion or anything to take this?
No, we do.
Yes, we do. That's what I thought.
Yes, it's modifying an existing contract, and it will mean that you will have to make a slight budget adjustment.
Yep. So I'll make the motion that that in the contract that we present back to Mr. Voigt's firm is that we would go with the amount of $3,800 a month for a term of 1 year to the end of 31 December of 24. And if they choose to renew, that it would be aligned, and for the next contract would be 2 years until from 1 January 25 to 31 December 26 to align with all the others.
Second.
I'll support that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Fournier,
Yes.
Commissioner Francisco,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmer.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Voigt.
Thank you. Let's get back into my,
Ambulance contract.
here we go. Next is the ambulance fund monthly report.
I got an email from Kim on that. Ambulance.
Ambulance?
Yeah.
It was in regards to the distribution that is paid out to all of the first responder units. Last year, we did that motion in the beginning of February, which is when I had calendared it for, but I will get it back to you guys as soon as we have the breakdown. So we just need the number runs.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so shit. All right.
Yep, we're gonna take it care of.
Okay, thank you.
Make a motion to receive and file.
All right, I'll make that motion to receive and file.
I'll support.
Ambulance fund.
Motion's been made and seconded to receive and file the ambulance fund monthly report as presented. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Your discussion, Judge, I see you're here. Did you have something or?
I was just here on the probate contractor.
Okay, all right.
We were talking hockey.
Okay.
We'll put that on the agenda next time.
I don't have
I'd like to
any.
participate.
Nothing.
Nothing right now. You guys covered it.
All right, the next,
Steve's here. Is he here for? Steve Musso?
Oh.
Our IT guy is here. I didn't know if he has any business for us or. Okay.
all right. And then I guess the only other note, should we reach out to Chanel? That's odd that we didn't even get a note saying, hey, I give you the bit here, it's 3-4.
Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes it just depends on how the numbers fall as to whether she's able to get those reports together or not. So, yeah.
All right, the next Courts and Public Safety Committee meeting is Monday, February 12 at 4 p.m. In this room. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried, adjourned at 4:41 p.m.
I appreciate